So you're telling me that you made chocolate out of cocoa powder, maple syrup, and coconut oil that tastes just like store-bought chocolate?
Well, actually, it doesn't taste just like it because it tastes even better. Look, you can even try one here.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Kylene. Does anyone else out there love chocolate? Colin made a really good point about not being the one to tell his wife after a year of grid down that she couldn't have her chocolate. Colin, you're a wise man. And so Colin and Kate from Pittsburgh have spent a lot of time perfecting this recipe. It only has 4 simple ingredients that can all be stored in your long-term food storage. The first, of course, is cocoa powder, coconut oil, which is one of the oils that stores the longest, maple syrup, and a little bit of salt. Now, Colin, I have to tell you that I tweaked this recipe just a little bit and tried adding a little bit of powdered milk and increasing the maple syrup just a little bit, and then I got milk chocolate. That was kind of fun. So just using this very, very basic recipe, you're able to make chocolate, and quite frankly, it's delicious. It doesn't have any preservatives or wax or any of the other crazy ingredients that are in the chocolate that we get from the stores. And so really quick, we're gonna throw together a batch, and then afterwards, I'll talk a little bit about how to store these items long-term. So we'll slide the chocolate away. This is super simple. Now we're pretending this is grid down. I have a little bit of water boiling with safe heat right underneath here because that's safe for indoors. And that's how we're gonna heat this. But I have a 1/2 cup of coconut oil in here. And I'm just gonna add a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. If I were making the milk chocolate, I'd add 1/3 cup, but just a 1/2 cup there. And I'm gonna put this in here just long enough. I don't want this to boil. I just want it to get nice and warm. I want the coconut oil to be completely liquid, because coconut oil, usually, I just picked this one up from my storeroom. And can you see how it is solid? That's one of the things that makes it work so well in this chocolate, is that it's usually solid at room temperature. Right now, because it's summertime, it's warm enough that my coconut oil is now liquid at room temperature. So I'm just gonna take a few minutes and let that melt. Colin says that you want this to be warm to the touch. You don't want it to boil, you don't want it to be hot, just nice and warm. So we'll see how long it takes us to do that. Okay, grid down always takes longer. So instead of 30 to 90 seconds, this took a little bit over 5 minutes. And it's nice and warm to the touch, but we didn't boil. I put it in this water because I didn't want this cup to crack. Don't know if it would, but let me just show you real quick what I use. This is the safe heat, and it's safe to burn indoors. It's a chafing fuel. When I go to extinguish it, I just put the cap on it. I'm not gonna turn it down tight because if I do, it'll create a vacuum. So this cap can be used a lot of other times, but make sure you get safe heat. So in here, 1/2 cup of coconut oil and 1/4 cup of maple syrup. And now we're going to add cocoa powder, 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. And this is kind of the important part. So you have to stir it until it's super smooth, kind of like chocolate fountain smooth if you're eating chocolate. If this is important to you, you know what chocolate fountain smooth looks like. And then we're gonna just put in just a little bit of salt and just keep stirring. Now, I've got all these trays, right? I had to order a whole bunch. If I'm making my own chocolate, I'm gonna have some fun with it. So these silicone trays are really fun. I'll leave a link for some of them. But he said that it's best if you put your tray in the freezer. So they're in the freezer right now. And then after we make our chocolates, we will return it to the freezer for 15 minutes or so to let it set up. Now remember, if I wanted to turn this into milk chocolate, I would add 2 to 3 tablespoons of powdered milk, and I would increase the maple syrup just to 1/3 cup. And you could play with this, right? There's so many fun things we can do. This looks really good. I don't see any little lumps, looks super smooth. I think it's time to go out and get the trays from the freezer. These are just back from the freezer. This has been stirred smooth. Now I can just do chocolate, but I think there's so many other great things that we could do. I experimented with putting pecans and cashews in them. John loved that. Today I'm going to put some freeze-dried raspberries. These are yellow and red raspberries from our garden that we've freeze-dried. So one of those things that we'd also have that's shelf-stable, ready to go. And you know, if you go to Bear Lake and get their chocolate-covered freeze-dried raspberries, you spend a fortune. And this is so much less expensive, and it didn't take much time, like super fast. Okay, so I've just put a little bit in the bottom of each of these. Now, the funny thing about the raspberries is because they are very dry, they will absorb the moisture that's in here and they will turn soft. And we're just gonna finish topping these off, trying to get all of it covered just so that the raspberries are in the center. I'm gonna tap it down just a little bit. Well done. Okay, for this one, we're gonna use cashews because that is John's favorite. And I love making that man happy, so. Now nuts have a shorter shelf life, so you'll need to make sure that you rotate through those. Okay, these are filled. I'm gonna tap them down and I'm going to go put them in the freezer for 15 minutes or so, and I'll be right back. The thing that makes this chocolate so amazing, not only is it less expensive, but the ingredients can store for a really, really long time. So let's talk about that. The cocoa is the basic ingredient, and there are all kinds of different types of cocoa. Now, if you're gonna use them and rotate through them, like I will store that in something like this for just 5 years. But if you're really looking for long-term storage, I would transfer it to a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber because that's going to give you the longest shelf life. And food is always better if you rotate through it, right? So for the highest quality, definitely rotate through it. The nuts, that's a short-term shelf life thing. In fact, click the card in the corner and it'll take you to a video about how to preserve nuts for the longest period of time. But remember, the moisture content in the nut is important and decreases it. So some nuts will store longer than others. Coconut oil, when it's in my basement storeroom, is solid like this. That's one of the reasons why it works so well with this chocolate. But when it's at room temperature in my pantry during the summertime, it's a liquid. The coconut oil will store longer than any of the other fats that I have found, so it's a really good option. Powdered milk, it's good if you store it like in this number 10 can. It's good for 10 to 20 years as long as you store it cool in a basement. Maple syrup, which is our sweetener, it'll store pretty much forever. It is, you know, depending on the container, this is a plastic container, so this won't store as long as if you had it in a glass container, but glass is susceptible to breakage, so you've got both of those things. Now salt will store forever, and then the freeze-dried raspberries that we were just trying, if they're in a can commercially, you can have up to 25 years. In my own, I would say maybe 10, 15 years, but they're delicious and they're super easy to rotate through. So now we know the shelf life on all of these products that are gonna let you have chocolate no matter what happens. Oh, one other thing, the safe heat. This is what I use to heat it. Now the microwave is super easy if you have electricity, and if you don't, the safe heat has a shelf life, according to the manufacturer, of at least 10 years if it's not opened. Best place to buy this, I think, is at Sam's Club. You can get it online, it just costs more, but make sure it's safe heat because that's the one that's safe to burn indoors. Let's go check on the chocolate. Okay, 20 minutes in the freezer, and these guys are all done. And all we'd have to do is flip them out. Now, Honor's here because She wants to try the raspberry one and tell us how it is.
That's really good.
Is it really good?
That's really good. I like chocolates with nuts in them. So this one looks like a cashew. It's very tasty. I like the texture. And the flavor is very good too, even though I am not a chocolate connoisseur. This is a raspberry one. And although I like the flavor, okay, I don't like it as much as I like the nuts. The fruit isn't as, the texture, I think it's partly a texture thing and partly just I like the nuts, but it's still very good.
Okay, a bite. Is that good? Is that good? It is. Oh, let me see. Would you like to hold that? Should I get one? No, Sheila, it's a win. This doesn't taste like dark chocolate. Oh, these are delicious. We'll just take the plate home now. Plate? Yeah, the plate.
What is that one?
I don't know, but it's dark chocolate. That makes it very good. Oh. A lovely nut. Delicious. That is really good. I didn't expect it to be this good.
Do you feel like you're suffering?
I'm suffering?
Yeah, if you were in a grid down and this is the chocolate you had.
This is good now. And with a little bit of fruit like raspberry. I'd have that any day. Doesn't matter if we're in grid down or what.
So super easy, doesn't take much time, doesn't cost very much. The ingredients store for so long. I don't know about you, but when the grid goes down, when life gets hard, Honor and I, we're gonna be eating chocolate. And for the question of the day, we tried putting different things in them. Nuts and fruit, right? Raspberries and strawberries. What would you add into this chocolate? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution. The chocolate solution. Colin and Kate, this is amazing. This has changed my life.